Good morning, children. We will start our today's class with the 9th chapter of history. The topic is the Vedic Age. In this chapter, we will learn about the people who lived in this age, in the Vedic Age, about their lives, social life, religious life, about their occupation, education, and everything. So, let us start the class. So, what do you mean by the Vedic Age? Vedic age refers to that period when the Aryans came and settled down in this country and became part of it. Now the question is, who are the Aryans? Aryans were the people who came to India around 1500 BC. According to some historians, the original home of the Aryans was in Central Asia, the regions or the areas around Caspian Sea. The Aryans were tall and fair complexioned with sharp features. They were nomads. Nomads, you all know, as I told you, people who do not stay long in the same place. They are wanderers and they travel from place to place to find grazing land for their animals. So, when they faced shortage of food and fodders are animals' food, they migrated or moved towards Iran and India. Those Aryans who came to India are known as Indo-Aryans. They did not come all together. They came in separate groups and they found that the people were already living there. The people who were already living there were known as Dasyus. The Aryans took over their lands and drove them out. The Dasyus then moved to less fertile lands because their fertile lands were taken over by the Aryans. But some Dasyus, they stayed back. They did not go. They stayed back and worked for the Aryans. The areas occupied by the Aryans is known as Aryavarta or the abode of the Aryans. Now, how do we know all these about the Aryans? We were not there. The people living today were not present in the Vedic age. So, then how do we know all these about them? It is because of the Vedas. Now, what are Vedas? Vedas are the books, in fact religious books that contains songs and hymns in praise of the gods. The word Veda comes from the word Ved, which means knowledge or wisdom. And there are 4 Vedas: Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajur Veda, Atharva Veda. Remember, these are all books. Among these 4 Vedas, the Rig Veda is the oldest one. Some of these Vedas tell us about rules for pujas and religious ceremonies, and others teach us how to lead proper lives. So, on the whole, the Vedas provide a lot of information about the Aryans and the way they lived. Now, besides the Vedas, there are other important religious books of the Aryans. These are the 2 epics. Epics are long poems that tell us about great men and women. So, these 2 epics are the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. The Brahmanas, the Puranas and the Upanishads are other important religious books of the Aryans. Here you can see the paintings depicting different scenes from Ramayana and Mahabharata, which are there in the Vedas. Now, let us discuss the social life of the Aryans. The Aryans lived in joint families. The eldest male member was the head of the family. He was called Grihapati. Women were respected and were present in all religious ceremonies. They had a right to education. Yajnas were performed by families to please the gods. A yajna was a method of sacrifice in which everyone gathered around a sacrificial fire and threw offerings into it. The priests were the most important members of society and were highly respected. So, you see, the Aryans lived in joint families, and the eldest male member was the head of the family. He was called Grihapati. Griha means house and Pati means head. Women were very much respected and they were present in all religious ceremonies. Women were allowed to take education. They used to perform yajnas. Yajna is a method of sacrifice in which everyone gathered around a sacrificial fire. Here you can see in the picture. In the middle you can see the sacrificial fire and they are sitting together around it. In this sacrificial fire they throw their offerings. This method was called yajna, and in their society priests were given very much importance. Priests were highly respected. The houses of the Aryans were made of mud with roofs of straw. The food of the Aryans was simple. They ate wheat, barley, vegetables, fruits, honey, milk and milk products such as curd, ghee, butter, etc. Their dress consisted of a dhoti or sari and an overgarment like a shawl. Men wore turbans. Both men and women wore ornaments made of gold, silver and beads. So, their houses were made of mud and straw roof, means kacha house, and they ate very simple food like vegetables, fruits, honey, milk products like curd, ghee, butter. They wore dhoti or sari and men wore turbans. You know what is turban? It is a head covering which consists of a long length of material, specially worn by Sikh. Like this, here you can see this man is wearing a turban on his head. So, this is called turban, okay? And both men and women used to wear ornaments made of gold, silver and beads. Now, let us talk about the caste system or the varnas that prevailed in the Aryan society. The Aryan tribe was divided into 4 castes on the basis of the work they did. The priests were called Brahmanas and formed the highest class. They were teachers and performed the pujas. The warriors were called Kshatriyas. The kings who fought wars belonged to this caste. This was the second highest caste. The farmers, traders and artisans were called Vaishyas. They were the third group in the caste system. The lowest in the caste system were the Sudras. The Sudras were Dasyus, who were already living in India when the Aryans came. They served the other sections of society. So, the Aryans were divided into 4 castes on the basis of the work they did, on the kind of work they did. They were Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra. Brahmin formed the highest class. They were the priests who performed pujas and they were teachers. So, they belonged to the highest class, Brahmins. Kshatriyas belonged to the second highest class. They were the kings who fought wars. They were the warriors. And the third group in the caste system were farmers, traders, traders means businessmen, and artisans who used to make things by hand. They were called Vaishyas. And the lowest in the caste system were the Sudras. They were Dasyus. Remember, in the beginning of the lesson, I told you all that when the Aryans came to India, people were already settled there. They were called Dasyus. And the Aryans, they came, they occupied their land, and the Dasyus were forced to leave, to move. But some did not. They stayed back and they served the Aryans. So basically the work of the Sudras were to serve the upper three castes, Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. The Sudras performed manual jobs like cleaning, washing and all. In the beginning, the caste system was not very rigid. People of one caste could eat together with people of other castes or marry people from other castes. People could also change their caste by changing their jobs. A child born in a Brahmana family could become a Kshatriya, and similarly a person born in a Kshatriya family could become a Brahmana. As time went on, the caste system became very rigid. One could not change the caste one was born into. The Aryans began to think of themselves as better and superior to the Dasyus or Sudras. The Sudras were not allowed to take up other jobs even if they wanted to, and were not allowed to learn the Vedas. They were made to do the work which people of other castes did not want to do. So, in the beginning, this caste system was not very rigid. It means it was flexible. People of one caste could sit and eat together with the other caste, or they could marry people from other caste as well. They could also change their caste by changing their jobs, because the caste was categorized on the basis of the work, on the basis of the job they did. So, they could easily change the caste by changing their jobs. For example, if a child was born in a Brahmin family, it was not compulsory for him to do the same job that his father did. He could change his caste by changing his job. He could become a Kshatriya by becoming a warrior. Similarly, a person born in a Kshatriya family could become a Brahmana. But this was in the beginning. Later, as the time went on, this caste system became very rigid. Now, one could not change the caste one was born into. The Aryans, they started thinking of themselves as better and superior to the Sudras. The Sudras were not allowed to take up other jobs. They were not allowed to learn the Vedas even if they wanted to. They were forced to do the work which people of other castes did not want to do. That means manual job like washing, cleaning, sweeping, shoemaking and all this. Now you all watch this video for better understanding.
Play a little game. Match the following. It seems easy, right? The son of a Brahmin should be a Brahmin. Actually, no. The son of a Kshatriya would be a Kshatriya. Actually, no. And the same with the Vaishyas and the Shudras, right? Actually, no. The caste system was not that rigid during the Rig Vedic period. There were 4 varnas or classes based on the skill level and occupation of each person. The varnas were not based on the birth of an individual, only on skill. Well, at least initially. The 4 varnas were Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. The Brahmins were the priests who performed religious rituals. The Kshatriyas included the royal and the warring classes who fought wars and protected the tribes. The Vaishyas were engaged in agriculture, business and industry. They produced goods for society. The Shudras served the upper 3 classes. They emerged towards the end of the Rig Vedic period.
Hope it's clear now. That's all in this lesson. We'll continue the lesson next class, where we'll discuss about the religious life of the Aryans, their occupation, education, economy, trade and all. Okay? Alright children, thank you for watching.